comfortable picks. Now, nerdRage don't actually have a coach. The players themselves are drafting, and the players themselves are setting up the match. We're actually going to get into the speaking of to end that early and get into the draft right away. Talia and Rakan coming out.
Yeah, okay. Pretty standard, kind of standard ban. Okay. No, Lulu was a bit surprised.
Yep.
Is that a ban against Orcs or Crumel? I mean, where are we seeing Lulu often?
No,
I'm not.
It's a ban against Orcs. I guess they just don't really want to give Inax the you know, the hyper carry potential with the Ardent Sensor. So trying to remove out the main Ardent Sensor abusers like the Lulu. Janna's also still open. Don't know how much. Orcs not a great big fan of Janna, but Prospero has played it in the past. And the Xayah actually coming out as well, so we're not going to get either of them this game.
I mean, there's nothing immediately surprising about this draft as of yet, right? I mean, the ban's probably quite generic.
Yeah.
exceL here, can they want to ban away like another mids like last time? Or?
Maybe they might want to take away the Camille potentially. I know that nerdRage, Artorias, big fan of the Camille.
Yeah.
As I found out myself.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And I know they can also flex it in theory as well. So it's,
yeah.
fine.
Prosper, big fan of the unorthodox Camille support pick. Jarvan first pick actually coming out. Okay, so like we said, a bit more standard this game, a bit less cheesy. Back to what they're used to. The Jarvan flex coming out could be top. Nutri could also play jungle, very comfortable on it. Has played it plenty during this season.
I mean, it kind of makes sense to me, like looking at that straight up, and because the 380 carry, like 3 top tier AD carries are banned as well, there's quite a lot available in the tier below, so you don't have to prioritize AD here.
Yeah.
Support-wise, Rakan and Lulu both been taken out, as you said, so picking up, you know, the Jarvan that gives nothing in your team composition away is okay.
First rotation Twitch, that's actually not very favorable against the Jarvan matchup. The EQ Cataclysm on an immobile squishies.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, right?
Yeah, it is very rough.
Especially, you know, but it's early in the draft, so nerdRage could easily see that Twitch and just go full team comp, you know, get the Orianna or a Gnar in there as well, sort of try and combo into the Cataclysm.
Yeah, they could actually. I'm thinking whether this could be a Nidalee game or Lee Sin. Yeah, I was thinking it could be a Nidalee Lee Sin game, something like Twitch, because they look like they want to play again something very scaling, very safe during the early game. Get your 3 items. And just let Inax just wreak havoc onto the nerdRage lineup. And an early game jungler is required to put on a lot of pressure, prevent Jarvan from trying to shut down this Twitch. And Syndra's actually coming out.
Okay.
A lot of the carries coming out very early in this draft.
So that to me sort of suggests that you see that they're going to be scaling with the Twitch. You see the Lee Sin's going to be putting a lot of pressure on your jungler, so you take the mid laner that can return pressure as best as possible, right? Which obviously Syndra is one of those. So you can obviously heavily punish the opposing mid laner for sort of any mistakes and hard shove lanes too. Yeah.
Going to opt out for Karma as an Ardent support. Complements Twitch very well. Could also be Karma mid. Could flex pick. Crumel, I don't know how much of a fan he is of the Karma mid. We've not seen it before, I don't believe.
Yeah.
And now we're ready for the second ban phase coming out. Probably be looking to ban out some mid laners again, trying to remove as much of Crumel's pool as possible. Ziggs might not be as good of a choice here as it was, but they're actually going to go ban out the Ziggs regardless.
I'm wondering, this Varus pickup, is that something that's actually okay into the Twitch, or are you taking it for engage so you can force mid-game? Like the comp seems to me that it's Jarvan's going to leap in, you want an AD carry that can assist this, Syndra's going to have her sort of AoE-ish stuns.
Right.
And then Varus is just another champion that can kind of do similar.
Honestly, I think that's more of a personal preference of Hedge. Hedge is a big fan of the AD carry Varus, and it also allows much better team fighting and much better pick potential with the Syndra EQ, Jarvan EQ, Varus ult. A lot of pick potential that could happen towards the mid game. And Gnar getting locked in yet again.
Yeah.
Kari opting out for that. Gnar worked last game, right?
Fantastic, right? I mean, a lot of pressure, has team fight potential, split push potential, kind of all rounds. Beautiful top laner to work with. It works fine into Jarvan, right?
Oh yeah, Jarvan top. I mean, I'm not too sure how the matchup goes, obviously being a jungle player, but so it is so it's the Jarvan top, at least being picked up by Nutri. Big fan of that champion. He's played it plenty during the split. And this sort of matches Lee Sin in terms of pressure in the jungle. It's sort of, I think we were discussing this the other day of who would win. It depends who finds who in the jungle first, who can get the jump on the other. That would determine how the jungle matchup goes. So reading the jungle and knowing where the enemy jungler is and the way that he wants to path and what he wants to prioritize in the game is going to be vital for these two junglers. Blitzcrank coming.
Why is there a Blitzcrank comment?
Hey.
Is that just to, once again, like another champion to force onto the Twitch? to prevent this going late?
I think they just want heavy pick and heavy engage this game, right? They got that Cocoon, they've got the Syndra EQ, they got the Virus ult, something to just lock down a target and then grab it in with the Blitzcrank and then maybe force on a 4v5. Morgana actually getting taken away, so it actually is the Karma flex mid. Right.
There we go. So, like, I mean, nerdRage's comp is clearly hard pick in you know, into sort of full up, well, not necessarily engage. I mean, you pick someone, you insta-kill them because their comp has so much CC, and then exceL's comp can't exactly do anything against it, whereas exceL looks to me like they just want to try and hard scale, but use the power of Karma and Lee Sin to get ahead early.
Absolutely, very focused around the in-axe, so most of the focus from Taxa will probably go towards the bottom lane, not necessarily to snowball or to try and get an awful lot of kills in the bot lane, but just to make sure the Twitch is safe, so he can farm up, get his core items, his Hurricane, his Infinity Edge, and translate that into the mid game and look for heavy team fights once Karma, I assume Karma will probably get an Ardent as well. Morgana, Orcs is a big fan of the Stoneborn Morgana pick with Ardent Sensor, complements Twitch very well.
And you, Scudzy, you were saying if ain't broke, don't fix it kind of situation. exceL seems like they've changed a little bit and a few surprising picks all round, really. Do you see yourself leaning towards a Victor judging from that draft?
Oh, so a Victor.
Like, who do you see winning after seeing that draft?
I mean, nerdRage, I think they're a bit less of on a timer as they were last game. Last game, they had to sort of finish a game by a point, or they had to have a massive lead by a certain time in the game to be able to close out the game. This game is sort of different. This game, it just depends. I think vision is going to be a very big factor into this game. They have to have solid vision control to be able to look for picks with the Virus ult, with the Blitzcrank hook, to try and catch up members. So I think this game is definitely going to be a lot closer than last time, but I don't know who I'd give it to, really. I think if exceL get it to a 40-50 minute game again, like last game, it's probably going to be more leaning towards their side.
Yeah, just looking at it, for me, it's going to heavily come down to how each individual player plays. Specifically for exceL, it's going to be the Lee Sin and the Twitch, because if this Twitch positions fantastically, the damage that he can actually put out in teamfights is immense. But then Lee Sin is such a skill-dependent champion. It's almost impossible to call it, because to know whether Lee Sin's going to get ahead of a Lee is to question the very skill of the player itself. So honestly, I mean, at this point, draft-wise, I wouldn't want to sort of take the risk in trying to call it. It is purely going to be on how well they each play the champions.
When Scudzy, you were saying like last game they were struggling to finish it off exceL, so maybe we need to see things a little bit quicker, but that remains to be seen. The game is just about ready, so let's head on over to our casters, Jaws and exScoundrel.
Thank you very much, Dan. Here we go, game number 2 underway. exceL versus nerdRage. They've swapped sides, but hey, what do we see? Prosfair already blowing flash, but he's on this blitz. And if you cast your mind back to the game they did play against exceL earlier on, in week number 6, dismantled was the word you used with Prosfair on the splits. Just destroyed exceL's
Yeah, he consistently hit hooks. He consistently found picks. It was the pick that really tore exceL apart in that particular game versus nerdRage. Almost like it was exceL's kryptonite in that series. So Prosfair obviously off to look to get his that rolling underway the same way forward. But I think exceL going for a very obvious protect the Twitch composition here. Everything designed specifically to play around in-axe, Cremel and Orcs, both there to protect that particular carry. Everything else on nerdRage is exactly as Will said. I love that they're trying to freeze each other's waves here at the very start of the show. They're trying to delay the wave to get the early push. And Shikari takes the worst of the trade on the way out as Artorias gets a single basic attack down. But nerdRage's composition, pick-orientated. Just look for those picks and optimize those picks to get things on the map. Things like turrets, things like neutral objectives.
And it's who sees who first in the jungle as well, with Nutri on that Elise and Taxa on that Lee Sin. We all kind of spoke about, we all kind of sat down this morning, waiting around for the games to kind of start and get underway, and we said, okay, so who's looking good in the jungle right now? And Lee Sin with that safeguard only just being slightly improved. People are like, maybe that doesn't actually push him forward more into this meta. A meta where tanks aren't the leading and the kings of the jungle. It's these more early game assassin style junglers like Elise that just want to get up in your face and do a lot of damage and have a lot of pressure early on.
Such an incredible skin, by the way.
Oh, the Godfist Lee Sin?
I absolutely love the Godfist Lee Sin. It's such an incredible skin, and glad to see it back. Shikari here. We'll have to be careful, a little bit more careful in the early laning phase versus a Jarvan, as we have a pause coming through. What would it be, a UK esports game without a pause? Shikari will have to be a little bit more careful. You have the flag and drag combo, Elise combo with Jarvan, lots of CC, and Mini-Gnar form. He has had a 30 base health nerf on 718-2, meaning that he is a little bit more vulnerable if you manage to catch him out in that laning phase. And again, Jarvan has the ability to gap close, and the one thing that Gnar is particularly bad at is dealing with people who can gap close very, very well, the likes of Irelia, the likes of Jarvan. So looking for the combo between nerdRage and Artorias in that top lane. That's probably where, if they're going to look to remedy some of the problems from the last game, maybe where nerdRage spends a bit of his time. But I think they were right on the analyst desk to say that exceL will want to focus their pressure on bot lane, not so much to pressure the bot lane, but to prevent pressure on the bot lane. Twitch needs to have an easy laning phase for exceL to do well here.
He's going to have a little bit of an easier time with Morgana. At least they can provide those black shields. But I really like what they did in the draft, like you mentioned. I think exceL taking this Karma into mid, picking up that massive flex, that Inex. Oh, sorry. Just exceL in general, not just Inex and Orcs. But they like to do. They like picking up these massive flex picks, and Karma is definitely one of those. Suited very well in the mid lane, coming up against this Syndra. It'll be very easy to keep yourself safe. Speaking of safety, Crossfair and Hedge might be in a little bit of trouble. Taxa dips in the bush and dips straight back out again. I think they kind of get what's up. Yeah, Taxa's actually just going to show himself, so in that minion vision. So they know exactly where he is at this current time. It's very dangerous to kind of come into a blitz lane as well. Yeah,
you've got to be careful. You could always get caught off guard. Not a huge amount of burst coming out from the Varus in the early levels, though. So it's not like he's going to get absolutely blown up if he gets picked off. He can always safeguard away. nerdRage tried to move towards bot lane, but Taxa was a little bit ahead of in his jungle clear, and nerdRage didn't manage to catch him out there, so Taxa was able to avoid dueling nerdRage in the early portion of this laning phase. nerdRage could also choose to go to bot lane. There's a lot of kill pressure bot lane with that blitz hook, but obviously with the Morgana shield that can kind of shut things down. But nerdRage has a couple of options. I think the only lane that realistically he might not spend a lot of time on, especially pre-6, will be the mid lane. Just because exceL is exceL, he's on a very, very defensive mid laner as well. He'll be looking to just, he can shield up through that damage. He's obviously got great wave clear as well. So really top side and bot side of the map is where maybe nerdRage looks to have an impact.
Yeah, it seems more bot orientated, you can imagine, just to get Inax behind, being their one true carry potential in the late game. Karma's not going to have an immense amount of damage, and I will be curious to see what build he does want to go for, what kind of path he wants to go down, because he can go this Athene style where he's pumping out a little bit of damage, also healing Inax up in the mid-game fights. Crossfair looking for a small engage, gets instantly rooted. However, Inax, beautiful black shield from Orcs, is going to keep him alive, but Hedge still trades up a lot of that damage. Inax is going to have to back off. Like you said, there's a lot of kill pressure in that lane. You can see just by the starting items from exceL that they know that's going to be the case.
And Crossfair will be looking for it as well because of the Ignite coming through for him as well. You know, they'll be looking for the kills where they can get them. I imagine it'll be an Ardent Sensor build from exceL, only because the shield from Morgana is on such a long cooldown that you're not going to get a huge sort of efficacy out of an Ardent Sensor coming out early. Whereas exceL's, shield's going to be very, very frequently off cooldown, so you're going to want to help, boon that Twitch. Obviously, Ardent Sensor is not a great item for exceL personally trying to carry, but obviously this entire composition is based around making Twitch carry. So I imagine Ardent Sensor will be on the build path for exceL.
Makes a whole lot of sense. I just like full damage Karma. I know Faker, when he was playing Karma, he was finishing up Athene's first, then going straight into Death Cap. This is war before Ardent Sensor was more prominent in the meta, just to get that massive chunk of AP in order to provide a little bit more shields towards the mid-game. So that could be another option for him. But let's have a look at the jungle now. We've got nerdRage just kind of chilling around near Taxa's, not Taxa's Scuttle Crab, just near Scuttle Crab on its own. And there's going to be an Ocean Drake to start off with as well. Both junglers very happy to just farm their own jungles up. They know, like Scutty alluded to on the desk, who sees who first will normally win out the trade. But nerdRage still putting a lot of pressure down to that bottom side because he knows Taxa's going to be here because Hedge and Crossfair, they are fairly pushed up.
Inax struggling to get the CS right now, is still not hugely behind Crossfair, but as you can see, a couple of minions here and there that he's just missing out on. But the kill pressure starting to open up, you feel Hedge.
Level 6 from Taxa, just hop over the wall, flash kick, here we go, there comes the Q-land as well. Crossfair missing the hook entirely, first blood goes over to Taxa. Game number 2, exceL now turn this one around, they say, not today. No first blood for nerdRage this time.
Very little vision for nerdRage. They'd pushed up quite considerably.
Artorias in a lot of trouble here. He's already used the flag and drag, just uses it over. Shikari's going to flash toward, well, Artorias going to flash away even. Here comes the boomerang, but he's just going to go down to that third Brock. Shikari picks up the kill. exceL now, 2 on the board. Very, very mirror matchup what happened to the game number 1.
Shikari has outclassed every single turn in this series so far over his opposition of Artorias. And Artorias is one of these players that he needs to perform. He's a feast or famine player. I remember way back in the day when Artorias was playing with along the likes of Vedius before Vedius got into casting. Vedius always said that Artorias was a feast or famine top laner. He'd either absolutely pop off and carry the game, or he'd need a lot of babysitting to stop him from feeding, essentially. So look at that gank again. It was just overextension. They were consistently pushed up the entire time, and Taxa found an opportunity to exploit poor vision control. And it was just because of that kill pressure lane, like you said. They are so desperate to utilize that Blitzcrank. They basically gave up the...
Crossfair's looking for something in mid lane. They are just trying to go on Krumel here, but Kakan's actually forced to flash away as Orcs and Krumel are there. That's a lot of damage. And oh my goodness, all right, okay. Kakan finds the kill. Crossfair's coming back in. Does have the punch and the grab. Krumel's in a lot of trouble. Flash forward though. Ignite down onto Krumel. Does find the route onto Kakan. The scan of the weak finds him, but he's going to cleanse it away. Here comes both junglers. Orcs is here. So is nerdRage. Can't find the entrance. Krumel almost made the hero play onto Kakan, but couldn't quite find the last blow.
I've got to say, Kakan played that incredibly well. Basically ignored everything, knew that Inax was a prime target for his ultimate, being such a low HP champion. Found the executing blow onto Inax and also managed to use the minion waves to his advantage versus the Karma. nerdRage going to look to use that overly aggressive move by exceL in the mid lane to take away this blue buff. They know they're going to be uncontested. Hedge has also pushed up that bot lane, opened up a 20 CS lead almost over his opposition. A bit of an aggressive move, maybe unneeded aggression from exceL in this early game. And they're going to get punished for it.
The first tip turret is going to fall very quickly, you can imagine. Look at this pressure that Prospect is putting out as well. Black Shield or not, the problem is that is on such a long cooldown that they have to play so far back, and that turret's taken the beating for it. And in fact, Inax has actually gone for this cold start as well. Looked like he just picked it up on his first back, as it's only got 93 stacks remaining. Really wants to hedge his bets towards the late stages of the game. nerdRage now rotating down.
Free tower.
Yep, free tower for them as Kakan's going to rotate too. This is going to be a... Yep, Orcs Inax, you might want to get out of there. Kakan is trying to find someone, finds Orcs with the sphere, but realistically, they just want to go for the turret. It will end up falling. nerdRage making the proactive play and taking the first turret.
Taxa might have found that gank in the early game, but all of that pressure put up by Hedge and Prosper in that bot lane allowed them to get so much work done to that mid bot lane tier 1. I don't know what that mid lane gank was about for exceL. I don't know why they decided to send Inax pre-level 6, especially to that mid lane, alongside a very low kill pressure mid laner like a Karma. It just seemed a little bit odd, given that their game plan realistically was to allow Twitch to have an extended laning phase, just to be able to farm up and get towards that late game Twitch build as quickly as possible. Now, the lane swaps are going to come through. Now Twitch is going to have to consistently rotate to match his opposition. His farm is going to get stunted because of it. It was just an interesting move that I think has really hamstringed the way that exceL want to play this game out.
Oh, here comes Prosper again. Krumel does get the flash. There's the ultimate. Unleash power. Kakan finds another kill. It's very hard to dodge that, no matter if you got cleanse or not. Another kill to Kakan. Really snowballing on this Syndra, and that's exactly what they want him to do, just to assassinate Inax in the late game, who's already falling behind.
The swap does come out now, preemptively, but again, Prosper on this Blitzcrank. He has been the almost kryptonite for exceL. You saw it in the game that they had in the regular season. exceL just don't know how to play against the Blitzcrank. They just seem a little bit almost tilted by it in some way, shape, or form. And now the lane pressure is going to build up again. Naturally, this lane pressure was in favor of the nerdRage bot lane. Taxa had a little bit of an impact, but didn't stop them from shoving onto that bot lane tier 1. It's going to happen here in this top lane. As Taxa now heads up towards the top lane too. nerdRage is there as well.
It's where the pressure they want to put it, and they, I think, rightfully so.
exceL have got to know something's going on here, because Hedge and Prosper are not pushing very quickly. They're trying to take their time here, and you can see the exceL roster know they're not shoving into the turret. The only reason they wouldn't be shoving into the turret is because they want exceL to shove back towards them, and exceL are very aware that something's up.
Exactly that, especially as Kakan was missing from mid as well. So 2-0 on that Syndra. It's not something to scoff at. Inax maybe going for an engage here, as Taxa is here as well. Does use that Sonic Wave. Doesn't quite find the ult, but there comes the Chains of Corruption. There's the hook as well. Oh my goodness, Dilly. And there's the Blitzcrank damage. Taxer does get the kick away, but he does end up flashing. Hedge flashing after him. Finds the kill in the end. So 2-piece now for nerdRage as they pressure down towards that top tier 1 turret. There's a teleport from Artorias as well.
Yeah, they're going to teleport in. They're going to get this top lane tier 1 too, you'd feel, because there's no one there to defend it. And exceL drafted a very, very weak early game composition. An area of the game where nerdRage were excelling in the previous game, but exceL were able to stall out because they had the ability to wave clear. They had winning matchups realistically for themselves in the bot lane and the top lane. And nerdRage have opened up an early aggressive game, and they're actually capitalizing on this time round. I think they got the pick, and I think Taxer felt that was his ability to go in, but they're just disrespecting the amount of pure damage output that can go with the Blitzcrank and the burst that comes from Varus when he stacks up those stacks. But exceL now thoroughly on the back foot here. 3,000 gold opened up in favor of nerdRage. A series that, after that first game, you felt might have been looking down that 2-0 scenario. Still no turrets for exceL, and they still need to turtle like crazy. 20 CS behind still on Inax, the only real late game damage carry for them. It's not looking good.
It isn't looking good. That cull as well isn't going to get finished for a little while, but it will be a big boon of gold. But is that going to be in time? Hedge has now picked up that Blade the Ruined King. They're marching down this mid lane. And now newtree, all he needs to do is just be there. Exist in the lane as Prosper is being the playmaker. He's being the one setting up these plays. Those flash hooks and him just popping off in the early game is exactly what happened to exceL last time they met up against Prosper's Blitzcrank. Like you said, they don't know how to react to it. And it's proving the same again.
They don't know how to play into it. They have absolutely no idea how to play into a Blitzcrank. It's just because it's not something that you see a huge amount of in competitive. But exceL are just being trumped by Prosper.
Well, Mad Life is one of those support players that picks up this Blitzcrank every now and then and shows that it can be quite a formidable champion if you don't respect it enough. And that's exactly what exceL haven't done. Respected the Blitzcrank pick and just let these picks happen. He picked up Mobility Boot's first item, get the ropes off, get Kakan ahead, and hey, we got a Fed Syndra. None of your squishy heroes will be able to stand up against it.
Inax trying to solo out the Ocean Drake here. It doesn't look like nerdRage have even got an idea that it's going on. They've kind of laxed a little bit on vision on that bottom side of the map, but actually Ocean Drake should allow exceL a little bit more of a reprise in terms of this defense and laning phase scenario. Prosper again, we'll be searching for hooks, but
don't grab the Mega Gnar.
Don't grab the Mega Gnar. It's a very, very sound advice.
Especially when Inax is level 7 now. Even if he does have a BF sword, that rat-a-tat-tat spray and pray does end up hurting a fair bit. See, I always get quite confused, by the way, that rat-a-tat-tat and spray and pray. They changed it once, they changed it twice. Rift Herald is on the map. Harriet is going to find a lot of damage down to that turret. That'll be all tier 1s going down now at 15 minutes for exceL with no turrets touched for them.
exceL are going to have to be so careful because the last time they played nerdRage against the Blitzcrank, they lost all inhibitors at 25 minutes, and nerdRage now rotating up towards that top lane tier 2. They've won 3-1'd this. They're now going to capitalize and collapse on a tier 2 in the top lane, and exceL are not in a position to defend it. They are hemorrhaging turrets right now. This is exactly the early game that nerdRage wanted, and you feel like nerdRage's best is when they've got a good, strong early game and they're uncontested in the laning phase. exceL picks nothing to contest the laning phase. Absolutely nothing. Karma doesn't win, realistically, easily. Inax, on a very late game scaling AD carry, still not even close to his first tier 3 item.
Maybe Shikari's going to have to be the catalyst he was in the first game. He landed that 3-man Mega Gnar wall stun. It was like, okay, cool. We basically win the game off of that. He has to be now that person to set these plays up.
He needs to get this turret.
He needs to get something here. I think he's going to be able to get it. He has got Black Cleaver. He's got a lot of damage. There are a lot of minions as well, so that will end up falling. newtree a little bit too late on the response. Kakan's going to be here, but realistically, Shikari's just going to walk away scot-free. Even the Scout of the Week won't really find him, although Kakan's still willing to chase him up. However, hang on a second, Scoundrel, Prosper and Hedge are now moving. Yeah, he knows something's up. Here we go. That's Unleash Power, and that's a one-shot. Kakan, he's a little bit too fed for the Gnar at this point. Picking up the Merc Treads, though. But now exceL do have the chance to respond in this mid lane.
They don't really have anybody to take turrets quickly here, and Artorias looking to set things up.
Drag over the wall. There's the Cataclysm flash away from Orcs, though. Prosper did get bound up by the Morganas as well. So that was pretty big, in fact, because that would have been a kill realistically going over to nerdRage, but now exceL responding very, very well in this bottom lane.
exceL has just trumped exceL in both games so far. He's been a monster for nerdRage. Pushing on to this tier 2, exceL, very difficult to respond for.
It's with the flash, Root does land, there's Taxa, nice ward hop, but it doesn't matter because Hedge, that's where he wants to be, in the middle of exceL. Taxa's going to find the spider, but it's going to be a little bit too creepy for him. Taxa ends up falling. Artorias is going to be here. Look at the mountain of body. Shikari tried to make it in, but he wasn't a Meganar. Kakan flashing forward. He gets another orb off. There's the hook onto Inax. Hedge picks up the kill. Even a Cocoon landing. Cleanse away from Crewmel. Piercing arrow not quite hitting, but nerdRage, they find 4 members. Crewmel out of action. They all survive, and they're going to take almost the last tier 2 turret as well. We're 17.5 minutes in, Scoundrel, and that's 2 extra tier 2 turrets going down.
This could be a reminiscent of that week 6 game that exceL played against nerdRage, unable to deal with Blitzcrank, picked poor lane matchups, tried to play a composition that had a very specific outcome with very little flexibility outside of that win condition, and they get punished for it. It's this draft that they're just going to get punished for. They have nothing. Taxa had to do a lot of work in this early game to keep exceL on the map, and he just didn't have the means to do so. You know, he's ahead in CS, but what does that mean, really? He got a bit of an early game gank, but he didn't return to that bot lane. I mean, let's have a look at that fight. This was just messy from exceL. They didn't focus one target. Hedge was actually just kicked into a better position for him because the way that exceL ended up splitting focus. Nutri baited Taxa in. Artorias there, in the right time, and unfortunately, no Meganar for Shikari meant that he wasn't in a position to teamfight properly. Great pull from Prosper again, a brilliant Blitzcrank player. And again, it's not something you see often. exceL just unable to deal with it. Shikari's just dead.
Shikari's just dead. Does use the ult. Kakan's just going to surround him. Come on, Kakan, you can hit orbs. Just toying with him maybe a little bit. Shikari does find the stun. However, Nutri is going to be here as well. Shikari ducked him, diving, dodging around. But there we go. A scatter that we will finally finish him off. Put him out of his misery. 5-0 now on the board for Kakan. And like you said, he's just been outplaying Crewmel time and time again. This matchup specifically in mid lane, it's come up trumps every single time.
Dodgeball 2, starring Shikari.
Oh boy.
Lead actor. He can certainly dodge wrenches because he's dodging balls. I agree though. Kakan has been a standout performer for nerdRage. He's been criticized in the past, but he's certainly turned up in this series. And this is heartbreak, for exceL. They performed really well in the first game, but they are just getting torn apart in this game. They've already lost their entire turrets from the lane.
That's it took them 4 minutes to take all tier 2 turrets as well.
Twitch isn't even even finished.
No tier 3 item.
No tier 3 item finished at 20 minutes into the game. Your one win condition is getting blasted.
Blasted. Prospect. Oh.
Ooh, Orcs. You can tell exceL aren't playing on key right now because Shikari not hitting Gnar ultimates, Orcs is not being solid with his bindings. Even Taxa had some questionable Lee Sin plays in that last team fight.
Throughout the season, actually, nerdRage have been drafting junglers fairly early on, but now they're saving them towards the end of the draft, just prioritizing picks for their mid laners and for their AD carries and tops, just saying, okay, we'll just draft Nutri's jungler later. Like, we know the bans are going to come quite hefty towards that jungle role. Let's just draft something later, maybe get a counter pick. Maybe that facilitates our team a little bit better. And I think Nutri's done a perfect job here of displaying that. Their early macro game wins them games. That's what they've been doing throughout the entire season. Every time you see nerdRage play, if they get ahead in the early game, it's incredibly hard for teams to stop them. And exceL are now feeling that brunt. 20 minutes in, we're at a 9,000 gold lead as well. Baron is now on the cards for nerdRage. They might look to start it up. They've got enough damage. Hedge has got 2 items. And Kakan is at 2.5. Look how quickly this is going now.
It's going to go down so quickly. Leandri's on Nutri as well. It's going to be up to Taxa to make some
hero play. Gets the hook, scatter the weak, and Taxa tried to get out. No room in his belt to do that. Baron's going to go over to nerdRage. Very easy take for them. And exceL, battered and bruised, end up leaving the fight.
And look at the displays of 2 of these teams over the 2 games. exceL had a very grindy win. They played towards that win condition of a late game, 3 items, Tristana and Ziggs. nerdRage have come out, and they have absolutely blasted exceL with a baseball bat. Just almost shock and awe tactics here. It's a world of difference between the 2 styles of wins. exceL are getting schooled by nerdRage, who must have been feeling down after that last game. They've come back absolutely swinging here. What a performance from them. And again, I would almost be tempted to ban Blitzcrank, because you just don't... It has been proven now over 2 games, you just don't know how to deal with it properly. And also, I don't like exceL not drafting winning lanes. Like, they have better individual players, especially that Shikari or Torius matchup. Play on it. Get winning lanes. Don't try and play this fancy tactic where you're trying to play towards a singular win condition that has no flexibility.
This is very Rocks Tigers-esque as well. If you look back at last World's Rocks Tigers with people like Peanut, just so aggressive in the early game, and it was very hard to out-macro them as well. And nerdRage is doing exactly the same thing. Look at the CS differential in the mid lane as well, 237 to 159. Karma doesn't need that many items, yes, but when you're facing a 3-item Syndra and you've only got an Athenes, maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, so maybe drafting a Karma into something like a Syndra, which isn't a losing lane, it's a lane that goes even more often than not. You've let Prosper run free and leaving Inax as the only damage source. It's so easy to target him and just blow him up.
And nerdRage have been running a 1-3-1 this entire game. Baron is only going to accentuate that problem. And also the fact that you have an element of a siege composition by just having Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank formulates sieges by himself because he makes it threatening in terms of positioning for the enemy team around these turrets. You can see this three-man roster of Hedge, Nutri, and Prosper are single-handedly pushing onto this turret, because they're making it difficult.
Oh, nice Cocoon, instantly cleansed away from Krumel. Scatter the Week was going to hit him as well. Oh, Chains Corruption is going to hit. It's going to hit Inax, but Inax in the back line is just going to get deleted by Nutri. Shikari comes in with a 3-man Mega Gnar ult, though. He is going to have to escape the fight quite quickly, as Orcs actually has to flash there as well. Taxer ends up falling and can't run from the sideline. Orb, Unleash Power. Krumel going very low, only finds the 2-piece for the moment, but that's all they really need to just crack the base at 23 minutes. Inhibitor falls. I think they might just go for the win here. 3 members down. exceL, they're in a lot of trouble. They got the Jarvan standard for the turret taker potential as well. One turret falls, the next one is sure to follow. Krumel comes up. Little bit of a freeze on our screen. Shikari dies as well. nerdRage, they are just going to look for the win. They got too much damage. That is a beautiful freeze frame, and Shikari's probably going to get deleted.
We're just going to assume that nerdRage has won, right? They're freezing the action just before the climax to make you know, but you can see that, I think, from the ending screen there that